What's up YouTube? It's Mini Metal Fab, and today we're back and we are going to be working on my mini dirt bike I have. The Predator motor, it's doing pretty good, but it's been leaking a little oil, and I have some new valves and new parts I want to put into it. So we're gonna be rebuilding this thing and cleaning it all out. I'm gonna be putting a much bigger cam in, and we're gonna get this thing tuned up and ready to rip for the winter so we can ride this thing in the snow this year. Hopefully we get some decent snow we can actually ride in, and that would be fun. All right, so we're gonna be installing a full gasket kit on this thing, doing a side cover gasket, a head gasket, and a valve cover gasket. And then we're also installing a new cam, a much bigger cam, and stainless steel valves with billet lash caps. So it'll be able to rip a lot harder after all that. It'll be much stronger. And then I'm also going to show how you're supposed to set your push rod length. Find out how long your push rods are supposed to be, because that does matter. When you shave your head, get thinner head gaskets, bigger cams, different rockers, all that stuff changes the length of your push rod. And you have to have a specific length in order to get the optimum performance out of your cam and your rockers and your valves and everything, or else your motor won't be running at its peak. So I'm going to show you how to do that. There is a special tool you can buy to help it be easier. I did buy that. You can do it without, it's just much harder. So I'll show you how to do that as well. First thing we're going to do though is we're going to take off the gas line, empty the gas tank, and drain the carb, because this gas looks bad. It is dark. So we're going to do that first. Good thing I'm strong. Now we'll put the gas line here, like that. Turn it on. Just let the tank drain. Just took the slider of the carb off, so now I'm going to loosen the 2 screws there. And back here, there's one more right here. And then this whole bracket will come down, and the bolt just slides right down with it. Yep, and down it comes. As long as we can get it off the floats. Jesus. Floats are stuck in it. That's not good. There we go. Got it. Look at that gas though. That is bad. I just poured out the gas, but you see all that dirt down in there? Look at all that. You gotta do a carb clean on this thing. It's dirty in there. So while this thing's apart, we're gonna tear the carb apart and clean out the carb too. And I'm gonna order up a new bowl for it, so that way I'll have a nice new clear bowl, and it won't be all expanded and soft like this. A new gasket too. And it'll be good. All right, so now that the carburetor is all disassembled, gotta take off this vent line right here that's attached to the frame for my catch can, and then the chain, and that should be, oh, and the exhaust mount bolt right there. Gotta take that off, and then it's just the 4 motor mount bolts, and I can pull it off and start tearing it apart. This line is so hard to get off. I just pulled the carb off to get it out of my way because it's been on here for so long. It's so stiff. I might have to try heating it. The motor's off. Frame's all empty now. And really, really light too. This thing weighs like nothing. It's ridiculous. I can pick it up with one arm. Yeah, it weighs like maybe like 70 pounds, if that. 65. It's pretty light frame. So all around, that's what makes this thing so fast. You'd think it'd be a lot heavier than it really is, but it's not. So it's pretty impressive for what it is. It came out really good. I can't wait to get this thing on there once we get this thing running eventually, but this thing's a lot of problems, so that might be a while. But we'll just get the 212 running really, really good, making as much power as it can. And then put it back on here and just have it ready for winter, and then mini mayhem in the spring down at Busco Beach with cars and cameras again. I'm so excited for that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the torque converter off with the juggernaut. So I'll loosen the 13 there, and then loosen all these 4 13s back there, and I'll pull right out. All right, so now the torque converter's off, so now I'm going to pull off the exhaust and the carburetor intake and the vent lines here. Got the hoses off, spark plugs out, intake's off. I'm gonna take the valve cover off next, and then I don't think I need, I guess I'll pull the pull start off too. Got the valve cover off, but the gasket got like baked to it, so we'll have to scrape that before we put the new one on. That got bad. Didn't bake to the motor, just the valve cover. All right, got that off. Side pull starts off. Time to take the side cover off. I just got the motor in top dead center. Take the heat shield off down here, and then we can loosen up our 4 head bolts. And I'm gonna drain the oil too, actually, now. I'm gonna do that first. Got the heat shields off and the side cover. And when I'm done, I like to thread the bolts just back in by hand into all the spots that came out. So that way I remember exactly where each one went, because they are different lengths, believe it or not. And only by a little bit, but it does matter because you can strip them out if you put the wrong ones in the wrong lengths, because only like a couple threads will bite or something because one needs a longer bolt to reach. All right, so now we can take the head off now that we've got all the oil drained out. So, get those in there, pop the C-clip off, pop this out, pull out a chromoly push rod. Pull off. Perfect. That is a white valve. That thing is burnt. Wow. Good thing we got new ones. That's top dead center. There's our old gasket. Still going strong, so that's good. Got a new one now. So we're gonna place in that. Head looks like it's in great condition. I mean, the top of the block. We have a new piston, a nice billet piston for it. So we'll be installing one of these into this thing. New rings. Look at that. That looks beautiful. So it's standard bore. We aren't going any bigger yet. Might do a stroker on this thing though in the future, because that would be pretty cool. So next up, we're gonna pull our side cover off here. All of these bolts here with a stud kit, so that will help keep our side cover together and on and sealed until I purchase a billet side cover for this thing one day. Got all the bolts out, so now we're gonna pull the side cover off, get the rest of the oil out, and start tearing it apart. Take the rod off and the cam out, lifters, clean it all real good. We're not gonna take the crank out of this though. We're gonna leave the flywheel on and the crank in. So as you can see, we got some metal shavings down in there. Look at that. But that is pretty standard. When you have a built motor, they break in for a while. A lot of the parts wear. So that's why it's important to do oil changes frequently and flushes frequently, if you ask me. Take it apart and flush it out good. Because when you're revving to like 9,000 RPM, you don't want those metal chunks flying around in there. After you get your side cover off, you want to pull off your old gasket and scrape as much as you can of anything that's stuck there, because you want to get it as smooth as you can so the new gasket will seal. And same thing with this surface. So I got to do this side still too. But you want to scrape it. Like any little gasket left behind like that, you want to get all that off. Just pulled out the cam. This is a 265 hot cam. A very, very good cam. But I'm going to clean it, and then we're going to put this away for storage. We're going to put this on a different motor. So now you spray out the inside, get everything clean, and you want to take out both drain screws and blow out both of those with an air compressor, because a lot of metal will build up in there and stuff, and it won't come out when you just drain the oil most of the time. So if you're going to do all this work, get all of it, do it right. All right, I got the whole block cleaned out. So now I'm gonna loosen the rod up and take the rod and piston out. For billet rods, you need a 12-point quarter-inch socket to loosen the rod bolts. Got the rod cap off. Rod bearings don't look too bad. Show signs of a little bit of wear, but you can't feel any of it. It's all still smooth, so that's good. So now we can pull our piston out the top and take the piston off the rod. Just got the rod off the piston. Rod looks in great condition still. So that's good. So now we gotta put the new piston on a rod or billet piston. This is a cast piston, so like even though it's a flat top, it's still not as strong as the billet. So we're gonna install the billet one just to be safe. All right, so when you first want to do is check your gap on your rings. So you're gonna take your first one, you're gonna stick it in your cylinder, like so. Take your piston, push it down in, and you're gonna grab your feeler gauges and the top top compressor ring and the second compressor ring should be from 8 thousandths to 14 thousandths, somewhere in there. So if they're anywhere else, you got some issues. And then for your oil rings, these should be at 0.020, so 20. So these ones are bigger. Next up, we're gonna put the wrist pin and the rod in. So that's going to go like that. So we're going to do your clips. You're going to want to put one side in first. A little C clip. There we go. Got one. So now you can take your rod and make sure the arrow is aimed down, and you want the dot down with the arrow on the rod. There's a dot there. You want that down as well. So you're going to take a little oil. You're going to oil it before you put it together. You can either use assembly lube or the oil you're going to use for your break-in. Take this then, slide it through, just like that. Push it all the way down. You're going to take your other C-clip and put the other C-clip in. Boom. Make sure it gets locked in the groove. You don't want that to pop out in your engine. Your piston's on. So now you're gonna put this in, but you wanna make sure it's oriented right before you put it in. So there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. So you got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so those are the ones on the oil. So then you want this guy here, like that in between. This guy here, like that in between. Now they're all facing different directions, none of them overlapping. A ring compressor would make this a lot easier. I don't have one of those. Cleaning this out, spray it out with some brake clean. Don't want anything in there. Give it a good wipe, towel. And then you're gonna oil this as well. You don't want to put your piston in dry. Slide it in. Now a piston ring compressor makes this way easier. Don't have one of those. So you gotta try to do it by hand. Just kinda gotta compress all the rings as you go. Like so. And your rod's in. Your rod bolts, you want to soak the rod bolts in oil. You don't want to put them in dry. Tighten it by hand, most you can. Grab your bottom one, do the same. And you never want to put these in dry, never. It'll mess up the torque reading and you could potentially snap one. Always use assembly lube or the oil you're going to use for your break-in. And these will be torqued to 175 inch-pounds or more if you're using motor oil, and if you're using assembly lube, 165 or more. The specs should come with your rod though, and it should tell you when you order your rod. Now, I'm going to take this, put it on a ratchet or 12 point. We're just going to snug them evenly. Just snug them up just a little bit. A little snug up here. A little snug. All right, so everything's in. I got the flat top piston in, rods torqued to 181 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. Flat top piston, air is going down, rings should be oriented right. So next up, we're gonna install our cam. Huh. All right, so a note, on the non-hemis, this part of the cam is a bigger size than on the hemis. It's smaller on the hemis. So they are not interchangeable, the cams. You cannot just switch them. This cam is meant for a non-hemi motor. I thought it would just go right into the hemis, but it does not. If I drilled that out, it could fit, but I just don't have a drill bit big enough, so maybe we'll do that at a later date, or we'll just get a bigger cam. I kind of want to get a 279 cam, so we'll probably get that for this thing instead and run this 310 in our mini quad. Because it's a very good cam. Makes a lot of torque. Oh, nice and oiled up. Oh, don't drop it. That wouldn't be good. Slippery though now with the whole oil. Alright, so now I'll put this in. Just like so. These are studs. These are side cover studs. They have an Allen key for one side, so you can thread them right in. Thread right into the block, just like this. I'm actually going to install a little bit of blue Loctite on these, so that way they don't back out from vibrations. Put a dab of that on there. Just thread it on in. You thread it all the way down until it bottoms out. So you want to take out both drains, so that way you can clean them out too. You don't, before you put it back together, because you want to get everything nice and cleaned out. Spray it out with some brake clean. Yeah, it's not going together dry. Oil up the bearing and the gears and everything. And grab your side cover, slide it back on. We got the gasket on there already. Should all line up. Boom. Just like that. Actually, I forgot to do one thing. You want to oil up your cam. Right there, the end in there. There we go. That way that's not in there dry. Perfect. So now we grab our nuts. Thread all these on. Because these motors vibrate a lot. And you don't want anything coming loose start to leak or anything like that. Normally you go 17 foot-pounds, but with the studs you can actually go up to 20. So we're gonna go up to 20. All right, so we just got the side cover all torqued down, and I have to grind down these back 3 studs here in order to get a torque converter to fit on it. So if you get the stud kit and are running a torque converter, you'll have to do the same because the studs are just too long. Don't worry, you can still get them out by tightening 2 nuts together and then backing them out that way. You just won't be able to put them in and out with the Allen key anymore, but that's all right. It'll still be just as strong like this. It's not gonna make it any weaker. If you do this, make sure everything's taped off or closed off so you don't get anything in your engine. I just removed the valve springs and the caps. Now I gotta take the valves out, but this one's actually getting stuck because the bottom of the thing is mushroomed out here because there's so much pressure on it and this valve wasn't strong enough to take it. So I gotta get a Dremel and sand that down so I can pull it out. I'm porting and polishing it. It was ported and polished before, but this was the first head I ever did, so I'm doing it again, and this time it's gonna be a lot better. So I'm gonna do that. I'm working on the intake right now. I'm really gonna open it up so that way this thing flows amazing. You want a straight shot all the way through, basically. I just got finished porting the intake. Look at how open that thing is now. You can see right through it, which is exactly what you want to see. That's beautiful. That's why hemis are so good for the headwise. You can get them to flow so amazing. And I gotta do the exhaust. Get the exhaust looking like that. Alrighty, got the exhaust all ported. Look how open that is. Got it nice and smoothed out. The intake's all rough. Got the intake manifold ported out and the gasket ported out. And got the exhaust gasket also ported to the right size as well. So the head's gonna be flowing amazing now. So now that the head's done, now we're gonna lap the valves in. This. See how there's that dull spot around the edge there? That's what you want to see all the way around. Alrighty, head's done. We got the 28-pound springs in, billet lash caps, stainless steel valves. It's ready to go back on the motor. Alright, just push the head on. Now we're gonna tighten it down with the head studs, well, bolts. Unfortunately, we don't have studs for the head yet. We'll definitely be getting those though. Got our head bolt right here. All right, got them all finger tights. Now we're gonna torque it down to 21 foot-pounds. Got our head torqued down. So now we gotta install our push rods, and I'll show you how you measure out how long they need to be. So this thing right here is an adjustable push rod, and this is how you figure out exactly how long your push rods, chromoly ones you'll wanna order, need to be. So what you wanna do is you wanna stick it in there, down into your lifter when your motor's in top dead center, which ours is in perfect top dead. Push your lifter all the way down. You're gonna take this, and you wanna loosen it up, and you lock the top in, like so. This is just an approximate. I'm not sure exactly where it's gonna need to be yet, but this will tell us exactly how long it needs to be. So, what you wanna do is you wanna get that set in like this. So you want the top of your rocker to be parallel with your motor. So now then we'll put this to 0 lash, just like so. Check our angle again. That looks perfect. So now, if that's perfect, pop this out, pull this off, and what we'll do is we'll measure this from here to here, so you know exactly how long your push rod needs to be. What? So now that's exactly how long we need our push rod to be right there. So now we got the chromoly push rods cut to length ones in, and the valves are not adjusted, but if you look, see how it's basically parallel with the top of the head? That's what you want to see right there. That's perfect. And then if you look down here, it lines up perfectly centered with the top of the valve. Got the valves adjusted. Set the 3000s, both of them, intake and exhaust. Now we're gonna put the valve cover on with that new gasket, and the motor will almost be done. Always add a little bit of Loctite so that they don't vibrate loose. Blue, not red. Don't want to be permanent. All right, the motor's back together. That's good. It looks amazing. So now we're gonna have to fill it up with oil and give it a start and clean the carb. Actually, we still gotta clean the carb. Clean the carb and then put that back on. But we'll have to fill it up with oil and then it'll be ready. All right, so disassembling the carb, got the float bowl out. I'm gonna take both jets out. And I might even, oh, they're safety pins, never mind. Take the air filter off. I'll blow everything out. Clean it all out good. Make sure there's nothing in there. Should be good. Our pilot jet here is so clogged. It's like you can't even see through the thing. This is why you couldn't. This is why I was bogging so bad off the start. So good thing I'm going through this. See how the main jet look. Main jet looks open. We'll still clean it out anyways, just to be safe. But we'll clean out the whole carburetor now. So spray it out with some brake clean and blow it out with some air. Put it back together. We got the carb all clean and all put back together. All nice and cleaned out. We're gonna be ordering a new bowl for this thing. But until then, it'll look really good and it'll work good enough. It's all clean now. The jets aren't clogged. Blew it all out with air. So now we're gonna put it back on the motor. And we can throw the motor on the frame. Alright, so it's the next day with my girlfriend Kira. We're gonna put the motor back on the bike today, and then we're gonna try it and see how it is. See how it runs, see if it starts up. And it should start. It should run pretty good, I think. It's definitely built solid. It's got a lot of compression. I pulled it over last night. That thing is tight. We might start snapping pull cords. All right, so we just sanded our nice machine billet blocks we have for the bottoms of the motor. They go underneath to raise the motor up, and then they also absorb vibrations because these motors vibrate a lot. So it helps absorb some of that, makes it ride a little smoother, and then it raises it up for our torque converter plate down here. So we can run the torque converter and actually have the clearance for it not to hit the engine plate.
Okay. Okay, so we're putting the engine on the blocks.
Yep, we gotta take this nut out right here.
Ooh.
Can you hold the top of it so I can loosen the bottom?
The top of the nut?
Mm-hmm. Because this has to go. I pulled the nut up. So now we can get the exhaust in place. So we can put the engine bolt. One up through.
Oh, that was gonna fall.
Oh boy. You gonna hold it?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, there's that one. Let's stud this one. Got it through. And we actually use 3/8 bolts instead of 1/4 because they're a little bit thicker and a little bit stronger, and you can tighten them down a little bit more and they don't snap. Sorry. That way we can still wiggle the engine a little bit. So then we can adjust where the torque converter is and get the chain nice and straight. The motor actually does have some play in it. See that? Even with everything all snugged up. So you can have your chain misaligned if you don't have it lined up before you tighten it down. All right, so first we'll tighten the front ones down with the 13. And these two right there, right? So go ahead, you want to impact them in. Oh, that was the wrong way.
Babe.
Whoops. There you go.
What are you doing with that?
Whoops. Sorry. You gotta go more than that.
It's stopping.
There you go. Those ones are different. Tighten that one down a little more. Give it like a full good squeeze. Motor properly before we tighten the engine mounts down. Whoa. This chain's very greasy. Tighten down. Are we ready?
Like how much? Like that?
Until it stops, basically. Like, until the drill stops.
So like that.
Is it all the way down? That's good. Alright, then do the other one. Over there. Alright, so we just got the motor bolted down. So now we gotta throw the carburetor together, bolt the exhaust up, throw our relay on for our wiring harness for the lights, hook up our fuel line and our catch can, throw the belt and pulley on with the juggernaut, and it's ready to rip. Alright, so we got our 2 spacers on right there for our juggernaut. So now we're gonna put the belt in. So we're gonna fish this around. Yeah, it's a tight squeeze to get it through there. It barely fits. Got it?
Yeah.
That's good. There we go, now it is. Like that. Keys in. Then we get the juggernaut. Line the keyway up. It goes through the belt. And then onto the pulley. Like that, perfect. Juggernaut's on, and we just take our bolt here, and that will go right through the end here. And then we'll impact that on. You wanna do the honors? Send her home, get her nice and tight. We don't want this flying off. Ooh. That should be good. That's not gonna go anywhere. Perfect. Carburetor's next. Got the exhaust on. Just got the carburetor and the lines over here to do. And then it's done. Fill it up with some gas and see if it'll start. Oh, good sign. Oh. I need a little bit more angle. car needs a little tuning, but what a beast. Woo. I'm shaking. I forgot how quick this thing is. Just takes off. Well, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned how to do a bunch of work and learn something. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll be rebuilding his motor a little bit and
gaskets,
fixing it up.
And I'll be ready to go back on my frame.
And then we'll take both the bikes out for a nice rip, and we'll get that video with the good riding footage. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, we'll see you next time.